You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
And welcome into another episode of Sabres Semantics right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Thank you to everybody tuned in live on our Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube page. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, to smash that bell, and thank you to those that are listening on your favorite on-demand audio podcast platform. Make sure to give us a 5-star rating, whatever one you chose to listen to us on today. You can also give us a follow on X at Sabres Semantics. Stay up to date with all of our Sabres coverage, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network for all of our short reels and content. Brandon Caputo joined alongside Joe Yerdon of Bleacher Report and Noted Hockey to break down the game one for the Sabres here in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, beating the Montreal Canadiens by a 4-2 score, and then also just general thoughts on what's going on down at the rink, player updates, players to watch, X factors going forward, and just how fun this playoff run has been so far for the Sabres. Again, you guys can keep up to date in the chat as well. Make sure to leave a comment as well, your thoughts on the series so far. So, Joe, really appreciate you taking the time to join us. I know it's been a long road to get here, 14-year playoff drought. What's it been like covering Sabres hockey here?
It's I got to tell you, it's the same whirlwind that the second half of the season's been, just taken to an entirely new level now with playoffs, because the intensity is that much more. The crowd is been unbelievable, honestly. The same kind of like stunned awe that the players have had every time they've been asked about it during the playoffs is the same reaction I've got, because it's honestly incredible seeing how this is all working, how it's all playing out. And yeah, it's something else, man. I mean, it went from 0 to 100 real quick here with this team, and watching them fly now in the playoffs is something else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, what has been just the general vibes there through that first round against Boston? As we kind of get into the second round here, I know there's a lot more media coverage around as well with the team right now. We know what that's been like, but I guess how different is it now just being around the team right now during playoffs as opposed to what it was during the regular season?
It's from a media perspective, it's like, whoa, all right, okay, we're in the big time now, because especially now in the second round of the playoffs, you've got a lot more national attention now that they're playing the Montreal Canadiens, who are the last Canadian team left in the playoffs. So it's bringing everyone from Canada on board to watch how they do, and when they're taking on the Sabres. I mean, I kind of kidded around earlier in the playoffs saying that when the mic went out on Cammy Clooney singing the anthem, everybody sang "Oh Canada" in the crowd. That Tim Murray was right. Buffalo is the 8th Canadian market in the NHL. It's kind of true, because there's that kind of soft spot that a lot of folks in Canada have for Buffalo, because it's kind of a weird hybrid American Canadian sort of place. But it's really something else to watch how this unfolds. And you sometimes see it in the reactions of some of the players when you've got so many folks in the media waiting to talk to them outside the room after games. Saw it in the first round, and definitely are seeing it now with all of Montreal's media in town. It's kind of like, oh my God, wow, this is a lot of people. And nothing prepares anybody for playoff media scrums, but certainly not when it's the Habs involved either. But it's really amazing, because I think everybody's still either like, you're trying to get a grasp on it and enjoy the moment at the same point. I mean, this is for the players. The media is, we're working, but nobody cares about us either. So, but like for the players, they're really enjoying this moment, and winning helps too. But there's also a lot of like, holy cow, we're in the big time now, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Canadians as well, like the dual media with the French and Canadians and the English speaking, excuse me. I'm
Mhm.
sure there's a lot more added attention right now with what's going down there at the rink and those post game press conferences, things like that. Something that a little bit different than what we're used to in the regular season, right? But you got bigger rooms, bigger everything, bigger spotlights, more eyes. It's probably something that you haven't seen since covering the team when you began.
Oh, it's nothing like I've ever seen when it comes to covering the Sabres. I've gotten cover playoffs. I've covered, a couple of Stanley Cup finals through my career, being at NBC and whatnot. But it's been seeing this, day in and day out. Because usually for playoff series, I fly in, sometimes literally fly in for like a couple of games, then I'm out. The last few years I've covered the Maple Leafs in the playoffs, and it's usually come in for potentially, series deciding games, which hasn't really worked out well for the Leafs whenever I show up. But anytime there's been like playoffs and it's like, all right, we're gonna have you go up and cover that. It's usually a moment where it's like, okay, this game's probably gonna decide things, or be a pivotal game anyways. And yeah, but when you're in it every day, it's like, okay, it's a big adjustment, because the routines that you had in the regular season are completely changed in the playoffs, because everything's done a little bit tight. Everything's a lot tighter, especially information wise, but everything's a lot less time on the ice, a lot less time in the rooms and talking to guys. And you gotta be on your game in the media. You better have your questions ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move forward and just talk about last night's or 2 nights ago's game with that victory in against Montreal 4-2 was the final there. First off, like the building, obviously we know what happens with when the Canadian teams come in like Montreal and Toronto. But it seemed like it was a true home ice advantage for the Sabres. I know there's going to be Montreal fans anywhere you go, but
Mhm.
it felt like it was the Sabres fans, obviously with the drought. They've been waiting a long time for this. It felt like, they were waiting for this, and this is what they got. So, what was the feeling like in the building that it finally felt like it was a home game for Buffalo against Montreal?
This really was the first time in a long time that it felt like, oh yeah, this is a Buffalo building against the Habs. There have been games in the past where it was like, well, this isn't quite like a total red, white, and blue washout here. But usually that meant both teams were really bad and nobody wanted to come watch either team. Certainly not the case in the second round of the playoffs. It's been a very focused and concerted effort on the part of the fans. Never mind, the team hasn't had to say anything about this, but the fans have made it a point, like, to be on other fans' cases. I've seen it on Reddit. I've seen it on all the other social medias. Do not, if you're going to sell, if you have to sell your tickets, and if you're going to sell your tickets, do not sell it to Canadiens fans. Because if you sell your team out now for a few extra bucks, and like, let's face it, it's a lot of extra bucks for the playoffs. I know the prices for the tickets just at the box office were pretty tough. I can only imagine the resale ones are a lot higher, but there was a very concerted point, like, do not sell to Habs fans. We do not. Sabres fans have, I know we're doing a lot of like mental adjusting for how things used to be and how this season is. One of those is that Sabres fans don't like to show up. And I was like, well, Sabres didn't win before, so who would want to show up and pay the prices for that? Now they're really good. They're one of the best teams in the NHL. And now it's like, all right, let's not embarrass ourselves here by just selling tickets to whoever and just counting our bucks and walking away from it. It's like, no, like, this is the first time this team's been in the playoffs in over a decade. Let's show out. Let's be there for our team, and let's not get shown up by the visiting fans. And that did not happen in game one. It's easy to spot Canadiens jerseys. Let's be truthful about it. They're gorgeous jerseys. You can spot them from a mile away. They're awesome. But it was you could spot them easily, and like, people tried to get grouped together somehow, but I think we got to figure out how many fans in the season ticket holders in the base are actually Montreal fans that buy tickets and come and watch the games anyways the rest of the regular season, because the ones that were there, they were in close, but man, it was definitely, this is the first time I'd say in a long time it was probably about 90 to 95% Sabres fans for this game, because even when Montreal scored, it was not you would get a roar when the Habs would score before. That didn't really happen this time, and the booze drowned it out anyways.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good to see there. Just talking about that game itself. I mean, it was exciting. The Canadiens took a penalty on the first shift, which after going through a grueling 7-game series against the Tampa Bay Lightning, it was almost like, okay, like they're gonna have to change their system up a little bit, playing a team like Buffalo. But just what we saw in that first period with the Sabres being able to get that 2-0 lead, and we know Montreal tied it late in that first period, but what did you see from, just the Buffalo start there and being able to get that lead on Montreal, a pesky team, and that's played really well on the road so far?
What was noticeable was that there was a good amount of jump from both teams. Usually you get a lot of the the road teams got to have to weather that first 10 minutes because the home crowd and the whole thing. And there was part of that. But Montreal didn't really show a lot of fear to start off. They came out and got after it, and they were able to produce some shots, get some opportunities, and they had a lot of scoring chances in the first period. Alex Lyon was just there to stop them. So that made a huge difference to the start of that game, because if Lyon's not on top of his game there, the start of that game is a little bit different. But you get the power play to start right off. Power play didn't go. I'm getting my power plays crossed up here, maybe, but one of the power plays was not very good. But then they scored on 2 other ones in the game. But it was a moment where it's like, okay, well, now is a chance to show that the first round's done, how bad the power play was then, and almost all of April is gone, so we can fix that right now and change the story. And they were able to eventually do that in the game. But to start it off though, it was something where Montreal was down on the scoreboard, but Marty St. Louis was like, I really liked our first period, and he's right to, because they generated a ton of really high quality chances, but Buffalo took advantage of mistakes made by Montreal, which this series I think is going to be a lot about that, because these teams are very, very capable of countering and taking advantage of the other's mistakes with ease, and with the amount of skill they've got, it doesn't take much. Yeah,
and then that goal by Greenway, I think in the second period was big. Obviously, that was his first goal on home ice this season. We know he's been
kind of wild, honestly.
Yeah. A great screen in front by Kozak, just tied up with the defender, and that was a big goal for Buffalo to be able to open it up to 3-1 when the Canadiens had that power play goal late in the first period. But for the fourth line to be able to contribute like that, we know Sam Carrick might play later in the series as well, but for them to contribute there in a big way for Buffalo at a big moment of the game, I think that was that really felt like, okay, the Sabres are going to be okay here, because if Montreal was able to get that thing tied, we know we know what can happen there, and the amount of close games that they've played against Tampa Bay in that first round. So that felt like just a massive goal at the time for Buffalo.
Yeah, and it absolutely was. And it was such a smart heads up play by Kozak to just go with the defender and just kind of drive him to the net himself. Because defender can't plant him, because if he does, it's a penalty. So Kozak's just like, well, I'm just going to go to the net. And Greenway was really smart with that shot, because it was just like a moving screen, but like a moving screen that's going directly in the line of sight of Jakub Dobeš, where he's kind of helpless, because if he tries to cheat around and peek, that shot could come from the go to the other side, and then he's getting beat. But great shot by Greenway, and he played really well all game. These kinds of games, I think we're seeing some of the best of him. I thought he was good against Boston. Fourth line had their hands full against Boston, because Boston's fourth line is a handful. It's not to say Montreal's isn't, with Josh Anderson out there and those guys. It's a tough group too, but but it's a different kind of challenge. This whole series is a different kind of challenge. But for Greenway, his size now becomes a factor because he's bigger than a lot of those guys on Montreal. So like him throwing his weight around literally and using that size to make a difference can make a bigger impact. But when he's providing that offensively, we know that line can score. We've seen Malenstein do it all year long. Carrick was doing it until he got injured. Greenway's capable of that too. And seeing him get that goal, and it was a great shot. Dobesh, kind of glanced off his glove. He almost got it, but almost don't count in hockey. You gotta get all of it. And Greenway did get all of that shot. That was a great play.
Yeah, and Dobish, we know what he did in the 7th game to steal it for Montreal when they only had 9 shots on net and won that game. So for the Sabres to get 3 on him, it just felt like he wasn't as comfortable and dialed in as he was maybe in that Tampa Bay series. That's because Buffalo, just the relentless, pressure they were putting on him. I know the shots on net, like when you look at that at the end, it's going to look, lopsided in Montreal's favor. But I didn't feel like that most of the game. And then Byram gets that power play goal, and all of a sudden the Sabres are 2 for 3 on the power play after going 1 for their last 48 or whatever it was, and 1 for 24 in the series. So that was another big one just for the confidence booster of the power play to say, hey, we scored 2 power play goals in this game. Granted, both were from the second unit, but that was just a great job by Byram, and he continues to show why he was in a Stanley Cup final with Colorado a few years ago.
Yeah, Byram's been unbelievable, and even Dahlin was pumping his tires today with how good he's been throughout the playoffs, and it's hard to not focus on how good he's been, and it's one of those kinds of things where so much attention gets paid to Dahlin, rightfully so, because he's very dangerous. That when he's out there, he's a main focus for defenses because you got to worry about him. Dahlin can pinch in, he can score, he can hammer it from outside, he can create, he can do all that stuff. Byram is showing that with him and Power out there together, Power's been so good defensively, so strong defensively, that Byram's gets a little bit of that freedom where he can do the same. But his shots have been on the money in these playoffs. I mean, if he's not putting them in, he's putting them on net and creating opportunities for guys to cash in on rebounds or create problems down low for the other team. For Byram to do that and play a strong defensive game. This isn't saying he's playing one-way hockey here. He's playing really good both ends of the ice, but 4 goals in the playoffs for a defenseman is really good, especially considering it's only been 7 games. 4 goals in 7 games in the playoffs is some real money work from him. So awesome to see that. And yeah, big time guy. I mean, think of how young he was. He's still young. Think of how young he was with Colorado, and he was kind of learning from a lot of those guys on that team, but was still a big time player. Now he's older, wiser, more vet, a little bit more vet to him. And now he's playing like, same old thing. Like I'm just going to be a boss out there, and he's doing it. He's playing great.
Yeah, he is. And when you look at, I think what was the one statistic? I want to pull it up on the screen here for a second. The tying record for from the Sabres PR. With his goal, Bowen Byram moves into a tie with Mike Ramsey, Jason Woolley, and Alexei Zhitnik for the most goals by a Sabres defenseman in a single playoff year all time with 4. So I never thought I'd see Alexei Zhitnik on a top goal statistic, but here we are. And Bowen Byram, I mean, he's put himself in pretty elite category for Sabres defensemen all time, and we're still, only 1 game into the second round here.
Yeah, and 2 of those guys were on that 99 Cup final team too. And I mean, obviously Woolley had a really big goal in those playoffs. I think was it game 1, I think, of the Stanley Cup final against Dallas. But yeah, being in that kind of company kind of shows how much the game has changed, which easy to do considering the eras that we're talking about here, and how long it's been for this team to get to the playoffs. But even those teams, the 2010, even going back to 06, 07, defensemen were not driving scoring for those teams. That was the forwards doing all that work. To get goals from your defense, though, it's a common thing now, but there's only 3 other defensemen that scored 4 goals in the playoffs, and it's Mike Ramsey, Jason Woolley, and Alexei Zhitnik. You're like, whoa, blue liners didn't score ever for these guys ever. And it's kind of crazy to think that Phil Housley wasn't on that list, even though, I mean, Housley was more of a setup guy, obviously, but kind of wild that like he didn't jump in there at some point in the playoffs for them in the past. But yeah, it's pretty remarkable, and a nice path carved ahead for him, because get one more. Now he's the main guy in team history, which is kind of crazy.
And then they were able to kind of close that thing out there. 4-2. Montreal gets the second goal there, but nothing else comes of that. They have the goalie pulled, don't do anything there. What did you think of the third period? I know the Sabres wrote shot was at 11-1 in the third, but prevent, basically just trying to hold the lead there. What did you see in the third? And is there anything that you want to see them clean up there as they go into game 2 against Montreal, or do you think that they pretty much played as well of an opener of a series that you could play?
I thought, I mean, we've gotten used to seeing them play that way in the third period. If they got a lead, they want to bottle it and take it home, which, I mean, every team wants to do that. If you've got, especially a 2-goal cushion at that point for them, which let me give it up to Kirby Doc though for that just absolutely absurd goal that made it 4-2. Hard to fault Lyon on that one. Like, that's just an insane play by him. But that third period for Buffalo was as good of a third period as I've seen them play, I think, all season, honestly, when it comes to shutting down a game. A lot of those kinds of games, you'd have those moments where it's like, all right, okay. Like, you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach where it's like, one's probably coming here, and then it's going to get really tight. There might have been 1 or 2 chances where I felt like, this is a little sketchy right now. I don't know if I like how they're doing this. But then that pressure was relieved pretty quick, and it turned into like a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-2 chance the other way. And it was like, okay, well, that kind of gets Montreal like shocked out of their demeanor of like, oh, we're just gonna be able to pepper away here. And it's like, oh crap, if we give up another one, this is done. This is done like dinner. I thought the way they handled it was so good, because they were first on pucks. They were on top of players immediately. The only time it got a little scary was when Dobesh was pulled with about 2.5-3 minutes to go. But that's a 6-on-5 situation, so it should be a little sketchy. But the rest of that period, I mean, shots were coming from the outside. Alex Lyons was going to snap those up all game long, so that was not a worry. But yeah, it was, couple of those plays down low around the net where it's a little quick pass to the front, or sudden little backhand pass across the crease, and it's like, test your reflexes for the goalie. But the defense and the forwards were all on top of everybody. Everybody was marked up, and they were able to kind of take away any of that danger that could have been there by allowing the team to kind of settle in and do what they do. I mean, and you know what, guys were blocking shots, and I think Mallenstein had a big block on a penalty kill early in the game. Dahlin had that kind of fly through where he really saved Lions bacon there in the third, where he caught one. It looked like it caught him off the calf or something. There's no padding there, so that really sucks. But like, Lyon was kind of out of position, and Dahlin got in front of that shot to block it away late. But they really took care of business there. I thought that was as good of the third period as they played all year when it came to putting the game away and salting it down.
Yeah. So 4-2 final there. Lyon was good when he needed to be there. Obviously, he's been sort of the guy after taking over for Luukkonen after that Game 2 performance against Boston. But he just seems like he's bringing a calming presence. We know he was solid with the Florida Panthers a few years ago in the playoffs as well. But we've talked about him before when he's had you on. He brings a swagger, and he brings just a mentality that, I think that was the first period goal he had let in the playoffs. If correct me if I'm wrong, at home. So so it was he's just been able to give the Sabres an opportunity to win night in and night out. And there's a reason why they keep going with the hot hand. And we've seen the Sabres do that this season with Luukkonen and also with Colton Ellis as well. But Lyon seems like he's ready to handle the load here as they go forward.
Yeah. And you know what? He's got the right kind of demeanor to play goal, where it's he's very heady about the position. Like he's studied it a lot, obviously, through his career, and he knows he has a feel for like all of it. And but he's also got that kind of sort of like cocksure mentality where it's like you're not beating me tonight, get out of here. Like, just probably using a little bit more colorful language than that, but he's got that kind of like swagger attitude to him where it's just like, all right, cool, got it, we're all done here. And he's caught on video a lot in the Boston series, mouthing off at players, at fans, and people trying to get his goat, but he doesn't care. Like, he loves that kind of stuff. Like, if somebody's going to try to needle him by yelling at him, he's going to give it right back, and he's probably going to say something a little bit meaner in the process, but he's a guy that just like loves that. He feeds off that competition and the challenges of what the position provides. And and the thing is, the way the Sabres do things in goal is so different to how we've got used to teams doing it in the playoffs. That when they swapped from Lukin and the Lion, it was kind of like one of those moments where you're like, ooh, is this a problem? And it's like, no, they've done it all year. And it got poo-pooed immediately, because it was a question to ask at the time. And they were just like, well, we've done it all year, so I don't see what's the difference now. And it's like, yeah, but it's the playoffs. And it's like, it's fine. We got 2 goalies that can get it done. We got 3 goalies that can get this done. It's fine. And sure enough, that's how it goes. And you know what? If Lion slips up somehow later, and if they switch to Luukkonen, not a problem. It's totally fine. They'll be okay with doing that. And I mean, obviously, you get later, the pressure's a lot higher. But right now, I mean, the way Lion's playing, I mean, there's no reason to even think about doing anything with goal. It's just set it and forget it, and he's good to go.
Set it and forget it. Wasn't that an infomercial back in the day?
Oh man, was it?
I think it was. It was for one of those, like, it was something to do with
was it a George Foreman grill maybe?
It was some sort of food I guess appliance or something. Set it and forget it.
Am I quoting Ronco now? Oh boy. I hope not.
That's how you know it's time for a break. So we're going to take a break on the show. We're going to come back. We're going to get Joe's thoughts on some players, look at the lineup, get the updated injury report from down there at the rink, and general thoughts going into Friday's game 2 of this second round series against Montreal Canadiens. So stay right here, right back on Sabres Semantics, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family, and their 3 great Niagara region locations, Niagara Falls, Fawn Hill, and Scott Street in St. Catharines. We'll be back shortly after this.
Pets bring immense joy to our homes, becoming an integral part of our families. But this living, loving experience often requires a little extra care and attention. That's where Global Pet Foods comes in, with owners and staff ready to support you every step of the way. Check out one of their locations today: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Fawn Hill, or 400 Scott Street in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride and provide elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel good about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they connect with our customers, simplifying the process to make your life easier and to make your home more beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road in Niagara Falls, or find out more at jnlflooring.com. If you think you can get a better deal anywhere else, you don't know Jack at J&L Flooring.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training, and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, Better Jobs Ontario information, and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Centre, helping people find work since 1983. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicle is in top running condition through the garage's services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers can expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your vehicles. To find out more or to book a service, contact them today at 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
Fourth Wall is the official merchandise supplier of the Armchair GM Sports Network. Our user-friendly site is print to order with no minimum items or inventory needed, shipped right to your doorstep safely and efficiently from the North American warehouse. All of our logos are available to supporters, listeners, and viewers can have the best variety available to them for their swag preferences. All items are priced as low as possible, allowing everybody who wants to support our business with the opportunity to do so, receiving quality and comfortable products in return. Shop today at fourthwall.com with a direct link to our Armchair merch store in the description of all episodes and in the bio of all of our social media accounts. Become an Armchair GM today with Fourth Wall.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
Hey, hey, here we go, it's hockey night in Buffalo. Hey, hey, here we go, the boys in blue, white, and gold. Hey, hey, here we go, make some noise, get in the zone. All for one and one for all, let's hear you from your heart and soul. And we will stand, raising our hands, saying, let's go, Buffalo, let's
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Sabres Semantics episode right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Thank you to everybody tuned in on the live version here on the YouTube version. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, smash that bell to stay updated with all of our video coverage here on the network. And thank you to those that are listening the next day in your favorite on-demand audio podcast platform. Make sure to give us a 5-star rating, whatever one you've chosen to listen to us on. Brandon Caputo joined alongside Joe Yerdon of Bleacher Report and Noted Hockey to give us a report of what's going on down there at KeyBank Center throughout round 2 of the playoffs for the Buffalo Sabres, up 1-0 on the Montreal Canadiens in round 2. Exciting times after breaking the 14-year playoff drought, kicking the door down, and now in the second round as Atlantic Division champions. As always, Global Pet Foods and their great Niagara region locations are the show sponsor of Sabres Semantics. Make sure to give them a follow on Niagara Falls, Fawn Hill, and Scott Street in St. Catharines as well. The next day that the Sabres win a home game, you can go and get your free dog or cat treat for your furry friend, courtesy of Sabres Semantics and the Sabres win. So, Joe, let's talk about this round 2, and I guess some of the players of note. Obviously, for them to be able to get to this point, they've had to have contributions up and down the lineup. We know what Rasmus Dahlin's dealt with this season on and off the ice. We know, everything that he's battled through there. He was named the Rick Martin Award winner as well for the Sabres, as well as a Masterton nominee in the NHL for perseverance and dedication to hockey. And now, as of today, he was named a candidate, one of the final 3 finalists, for the James Norris Trophy as the best defenseman in the National Hockey League. I think the fans around the league, outside of the Buffalo market, are finally getting a chance to see how good Rasmus Dahlin is and why he's deserving to be a finalist for this award with another great, all-world defenseman, guys like Cale Makar and Zach Werenski.
Yeah, it's considering all the defensemen in the NHL and how many great defensemen there are. This is seeing Dahlin crack through into the top 3 is pretty stunning, especially when you consider Quinn Hughes wasn't even in the top 3 out of this group, and that's honestly staggering to me. But I mean, you cannot deny how good Dahlin has been all season, and even when you consider everything that he's gone through with his personal life this season, and how much that seemed to affect the start of his year. Once everything's kind of calmed down and quieted down, we saw the best of him, from December on, really. And his game is just, I mean, he's such a it's just an all-around great defenseman. I mean, he's so smart offensively. Defensively, he's on top of everything. I mean, he's so good at denying opportunities and one-on-one matchups. I mean, he's just takes everything away from guys. He plays physically, he plays mean, he plays nasty. He even said today, like, I'm not a tough guy, but I play hard hockey, and it's impossible to deny that. And he plays a ton of minutes. And I'm sure some folks might be critical that he doesn't play a ton of PK time, but I mean, if you want to nitpick a guy, I guess that's something you could do. But he's still out there sometimes doing it, and that's fine. But the guy's got to get a break sometimes, right? But he's just incredible. He's had an outstanding season. Clearly one of his best. I mean, this season and last season, he was outstanding last season too, even though it was a down year for the Sabres. But doing the same kind of work, same kind of effort, same everything, and leading the team back to the playoffs. It's understandable why the voters were cashed in on having him to a point where he's top, one of the 3 finalists for the award.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at his body of work since he's come into the National Hockey League as the top overall selection for the Sabres, came in, played as an 18-year-old defenseman in the league, has gone through a lot, obviously, with the Sabres organization over that time. He's grown up. He's gotten married with this organization. Buffalo is engraved in him now, and since he came into the league, and now in his mid 20s, still has a lot of room to grow as well. And that was what people had talked about when he was coming into the league, about this guy could be a top 3 defenseman in all the National Hockey League. And for a defenseman to go first overall, you have to be a special player. And Dahlin has really produced that. Now wearing the C for the Sabres, seems like he connects himself when he needs to on certain times. But is sort of a lead by example leader, but he's a warrior out there. And he just seems like he's beloved in that room as the guy wearing the captain for this group, and why, the teammates love him, the coaching staff love him. And, just being able to battle through everything that he did and still be this productive on the ice. It really shows you his true character and how much he loves the game.
Yeah. And, he kind of kidded around today because he was asked about, what it's like to, what it's like to captain a team, that's gone through this. And he said, being a captain of this team is easy because winning makes it easy, but also, the room's full of other guys who lead. And so, as far as like doing all the captain stuff, he's just like, I don't really have to, put my foot down a lot because, everybody's kind of good at, doing things their way and allowing everybody to kind of grow around it. But I mean, there's no doubt this room is strong because winning, first off, but also because, Dahlin goes out and does it. Like it's not talking the talk and then not walking the walk. I mean, if he's talking the talk, he's walking the walk at the same time. So, I mean, he's a guy that just really does it all. And he's very no nonsense about it. And I think there's a lot of respect that's earned by doing it that way. It was interesting to hear some of the comparisons that have come up to the style of game that he plays, and hearing the name Chris Pronger thrown into that because of how, kind of gnarly he can get in some of those heated moments is kind of wild, because I think of Pronger as one of like the meanest defensemen who have ever played the game. But to be a competitor on that kind of level, yeah, Dahlin is there. And, I'll confess, Dahlin was on my ballot for the Norris this year. Be kind of crazy if he wasn't. I think that'd probably be something I'd get yelled at, rightfully so, by Sabres fans if I didn't have him on there. But he's had an absolutely incredible season, and he deserved to be on, at least on my ballot anyways. He deserved to be there.
And even if he doesn't win it, I think this is a coming out party for him that he's going to be on this ballot for many more years to come.
Oh yeah. And that was, I'm not going to pat myself on the back too much here, but I said if this team gets to the playoffs, Dahlin's probably going to be a Norris candidate when it happens. And here we are. Here we are. It's happened. But everything was going to revolve around him. Fortunately for this team, it's not all about him. Like, he's a major part of it, but they have so many other guys that really make it work. And that's why they're so good, is that they've got those other guys. But Dahlin, make no mistake, he's the guy at the front of the engine here.
Yeah, the production they've got from the back end this season from, the guys like Samuelson, Power, Byram's obviously stepped his game up to another level. They've had one of the more productive defensive cores in all the National Hockey League, and big reason why they are where they are right now. Kind of segueing from Rasmus Dahlin to Zach Benson, because he's obviously been a guy that's really captured the Sabres fan base for his, being a rat and all those other things that are going around social media about just the way that Benson's able to get out of the other team's skin. We know he wants to be booed in 31 other rinks and things like that. And he just, him and Doan seem to be really, really big heartbeat to this team. And I'm going to pull up the tweet that you put out earlier today, Joe. Dahlin, who hosted Zach Benson in his rookie year, said he's excited about the rest of the world to get to see what he's made of. Mentioned with a laugh, he did some really weird stuff as a rookie. Follow up, what kind of stuff? Dahlin said, no, I knew I shouldn't have said that. So that must have got you guys going in the press conference room today.
Yeah, when you've got a whole room full of not just Buffalo media but Montreal media, and Dahlin says, he was my had him at the house his rookie year, and says it's like he just did some really weird stuff, and everybody at the same time could feel the psychic power in the room saying, what kind of weird stuff? What are we talking about here? But I mean, you can tell that it's one of those. Benson is just, I mean, it was very amusing to see Boston fans get very worked up about Zach Benson, and it reminded me of the 1989 Batman movie where Batman and Jack Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson have that square off, and it was like, you made me first, like one of those things where Boston fans are getting all annoyed and upset about Benson. It's like, you guys had Brad Marchand for like 15 years driving everybody crazy and doing the same kind of stuff. Granted, maybe a little bit nastier, but give Benson time. Maybe he'll learn some meaner tricks as the years go on. But I mean, to have a guy that just drives everybody crazy the way Benson does is something I've always felt that's an element the Sabres needed. They needed somebody who could be just a total burr in the ass kind of guy, where it's just like, get this guy out of here. Get him out of my face. He drives me nuts. And they've never had a guy like that. They've had tough guys. They've had, physical players. They've had all that. They've never had a guy that pokes the bear constantly. And Benson is 100% that guy that pokes the bear. He loves to do it. And that freeze frame from game 6 against Boston, where he's got the entire lineup chasing him and he's just smiling and laughing. It's like Renaissance art, that kind of thing. I mean, and to top it all off, he's an incredible player. I mean, he's not just a guy who's just out there stirring it up and he doesn't do anything. He had 2 phenomenal assists in game 1 against Montreal. He's capable of scoring goals. He's capable of, setting plays up. Dahlin talked a ton about how creative he is with the puck. And we've seen that too. He's a winger, but if you leave that middle of the ice open, he's got to find a way to get there. And he's going to maybe make you look bad doing it at the same point to create a scoring opportunity. I mean, he's creative. He's smart. It may not come off sometimes that he's smart, but he's brilliant on the ice because he just knows how to get places. And to have all of that and to also just be a total pain in the ass at the same time is a tremendous package of skills to offer. And in the playoffs, that stuff is a even bigger deal, because all it takes is you to get one guy on tilt to go crazy, go after you, Charlie McAvoy, and things can change desperately in a game. And we're seeing that with him. We haven't seen it yet against Montreal, but give it time. Give it time. You give it a few more games, maybe we'll see some more. But But I mean, we saw the skill side of his game come out in game one. And I mean, if anybody can remember him in junior hockey, think of his draft year. He gets drafted 13th by Buffalo, which was kind of a surprise given he was third in the WHL in scoring that season. And number one was Connor Bedard. And he wasn't that far off from Bedard, honestly, in scoring that season. So, I mean, he's a dynamite player, and he just has this complete weasel side to him that everybody loves him for in Buffalo.
So shifty, right? And just the way he's able to create plays in close corners and around the net. Just, he almost created a few more goals last night for himself. He's got 5 points in the 7 games, a +4. And again, that Benson, Norris, and Doan line, just dogs on a bone. And, Zach Benson, as I put out last night, it doesn't matter about the size of the dog. It's the fight of the dog, right? And that's Zach Benson for you. And he's developing, a really big just identity for the Sabres team about how they want to play. And the Sabres fan base love players like that. They're celebrated here in this city, till the day they die. So I think Zach Benson, we're going to start to see a lot more number 6 or the ones that bought number 9 jerseys last year before, Josh Norris took over that number. He's becoming a fan favorite other than, the Darlenes and the Tage Thompsons and the guys that are going to get, most of the fanfare. I think, Zach Benson is going to be a mainstay for the Sabres team and identity for a long time.
Yeah. And like that whole line, I know some fans got a little bit grumpy when Norris came back in after Ostlund, got injured against Boston. But that whole line, it's just like having, I'm trying to think, it's like having a group of dogs. You've got like a Chihuahua, and you've got like 2 other dogs that just bark and snap at you constantly. I mean, Chihuahua's obviously Benson in this case, so forgive me, but you've got just like 3 dogs that are just barking and yapping and nipping at you, and they're just chasing you all over the place. And you're like, cut it out. And like the entire, the opposition team is the mailman just trying to drop stuff off. And these 3 dogs are just running after everybody. It's like, God, these guys are a menace. Get them away from me. Can't wait to get back in the truck and get out of here and get away from them. Playing against that line is like that because, we know what Benson does. Doan is just hard line everywhere. Like he's a forechecking monster. He gets on top of everybody. Norris is the same way too. Norris it gets on it. He's fast. He's skilled, but like he's very good defensively. And like, if there's a scrum starting on that with that group out there, there's a better chance Norris is the guy in the middle of it than it is Benson or Doan, because Norris just does not take any crap from anybody. And he's just constantly in somebody's face. And he's like, get off me constantly. And I don't know. It's a trio that just works. I tried to pick Josh Norris's brain about it. And I go, what do you do with your game when you're playing with those 2 guys? He's like, I don't do anything different in my game. And I was like, all right, fair enough. Like, good to know. But it's a group that works. And, sometimes fans might grumble that like the lines don't change at all, but I'm like, what will you change? Like, what is there to change? Like maybe you put Benson on the top line for a little while, but like you're taking away from the other line. And not to say that Krebs couldn't do well on that line either, but like, there's no reason to change anything. Everything works really well.
And speaking of Zach Benson, he passes Bowen Byram, who is now his teammate, the first NHL skater at age 20 or younger to record multiple points in consecutive playoff games since Bowen Byram from May 3rd, 23rd to 25th, 2022, when he was with the Colorado Avalanche, 2 games, 4 assists. He is the first NHL forward to accomplish this feat since Mitch Marner in 2018 with his 2 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. So Zach Benson also breaking records as well as a 20-year-old skater. And again, that's the other thing. He's only 20 years old. And he's only going to get better. Might not get any taller, but he's still going to have that fight in no matter what. And he just continues to, sort of develop that confidence into being a solid NHL player for maybe a decade to come.
It's nice company to be in there with Bo, obviously, but also Marner, because we know how much Mitch was got a lot of guff for what went on in Toronto. But I mean, he's a guy who intense forechecker, defends very well, and is also a high-end elite scorer. Benson, that high-end elite scoring ability hasn't quite come out totally yet in the NHL, but like it just feels like it's coming at some point. Like we've seen some of the goals. We know how he gets to the net. We're going to see more of that stuff coming over the years, and it's just, it's going to require some like roster shifting over the next couple of seasons, which is, it's going to happen anyways in the NHL. That's how it goes. But it's exciting to watch. I mean, he's 20 years old. He's in his 3rd season. That's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, you don't see that a lot in the National Hockey League these days. Just quickly touching on the forward lines here, Joe. I know, you mentioned with Norris coming back and, stabilizing that third line with Benson and Norris. Kozak's in there right now. We know Carrick, could play any day now. It seems like he's been ramping up at practice. And originally when the series was about to start, he was sort of ruled out. But then all of a sudden, Lindy Ruff comes out the day before and says, nope, you know what? He's practicing. He might be good to go at some point in the series. So that'd be a big boost for that fourth line, even though it'd be tough to take Kozak out. But Sam Carrick being the best faceoff guy on the team as well would just add another dynamic with him and Malenstein being able to produce some offense, and Greenway getting on the board too. So that'll be interesting to watch. And I know you want to touch on Jack Quinn as well, because even though he's played well at times, he's sort of been snake bit, hit a couple more posts last night as well. I know you wanted to touch on him.
Yeah, Quinn's playing some really good hockey, and he has for the last few games. I know it gets noticed very quickly when he's having an off night, because the turnovers are there. Sometimes he looks like he's a little too excited to have the puck on his stick. It happens. But when he's creating the way he was doing in game 1, not getting rewarded is such a bite in the rear end for him. But it's coming. There's a goal explosion coming from him at some point. And the chances that he had in game 1, he had at least two great A's where it was like, how did he not score? I mean, obviously the one off the crossbar. There was another one in the 3rd period where I think he had a great look at it and just kind of ripped it wide. And it was like, oh, I get one, buddy. The deluge can happen, but that line is just so good. And seeing McLeod get one on the power play was huge. Zucker is, if there's a guy that Benson should look up to, and honestly I think he does, because Zucker always makes sure to keep Benson grounded in his place. It's Zucker, because just the way he gets around, he gets under, he's also capable of getting under guys' skin, but he's super skilled and he's fast. And that trio just works so well. And it's a group that you're just kind of like, well, at some point they're going to change it, right? I don't think they've changed it in 40 games, honestly. And injuries aside, that group just works. And it's a nice comfort zone for Lindy to have that, where you've just got a line that they just get stuff done. They take care of business, and they do their thing, and they produce. And if they've got an off night, well, it's fine. You've got 3 other lines that can do it as well, which, that was a big point I think Lindy hit after game 1, was talking about it, where it's like, hey, if one line's getting shut down, somebody else is picking up the slack somewhere, because we're going to, there's a way their lineup finds a way to do it. But yeah, that line's been really good. And Quinn, you want to see him get one, because, he's, every chance you get, you feel like you're squeezing a little more. I don't think that's the case with him. I think he knows there's one coming, because he's not being shy about shooting the puck. I think he's kind of learned as the playoffs are going on. I don't need to pass so much. I've got a really good shot. I should just shoot.
So, Joe, we got about 5 or 6 minutes left with you. Appreciate the time, as always, and giving us the insight from down there. I got 3 quick points, so I want to try to get through them as quick as possible. One, the second power play unit coming through with the 2 goals. Are you liking what you see from the first unit? I know they had a couple of chances as well, but the second unit got technically both goals there, and has looked, better at times almost than the top unit. But what do you think, in a short synopsis, that top unit needs to do to just find the confidence to get going?
I think they've got to be more unpredictable, honestly. I think they're very much working off the play sheet, so to speak, like, to use like a kind of like an NFL parallel. Like, you see the way the play is drawn up on paper, and they're like, all right, this is the way we have to do it to have success. And that's very easy to counter. And I think, teams are able to spot that. And, I think a lot of it requires to be able to have, I mean, I assume these guys have the green light to kind of call an audible on the entries, because the entries seem to be the big problem. And everybody will point at the long drop passes with, to get a guy with speed to come through. Listen, every team in the NHL is doing that now. So I don't really put that as the issue. It's just finding the right reads coming up the ice, and being able to do a better job of drawing that forechecker out to kind of open up, a space for you. They've been a little bit better about doing like a quick pass and then a one touch back to try to zip through and maybe catch them flat footed. Problem being, those PKs know that they're going to do that, so they're getting a stick in the way and just knocking it back out of the zone. So I would like to see them maybe be a little bit more unpredictable, but it's really tough to do in the flow of the game. And depending on the reads you're getting, that changes it too. But I think that's why the second unit is so good, because you don't really know what they're going to do. Like you see those 5 guys out there and they're like, who's the shooter? And they're like, I don't know. I don't know who the shooter is. Like, well, it could be Benson. Maybe it's Quinn. Well, yeah, he's got to be the shooter. No, maybe it's Byram. Crap. Who do you double? I don't know. But then somebody's open and then they score.
It's like they used to say with Brett Favre, every receiver was the primary receiver because you never knew where he was throwing the ball.
Right.
So that's sort of like the Sabres 5-man unit. Everybody is the goal scorer. Everybody is at the point of attack, and watch out for everybody because
the first unit's got more scorers out there where that should be the idea, but it's so hard to like look away from Tage when he's got that like the automatic shot. Problem is that once they get set up, there's 2 guys shadowing that side and somebody else has to be open, right?
Right. So secondly, we know Carrick, could play any day now. Ostland's been ruled out for the rest of the series, most likely. We know Stanley was a little bit under the weather at the end of that Boston series. Seems like he's fine as well. Any changes you expect coming up with the lineup other than Carrick possibly coming in for Kozak or anything on that third defensive pair?
I really don't see them changing anything up. Lindy likes to stick with what works. The only change I can see is Carrick, and I think it's just a matter of whether it's going to be game 2 or game 3 by the time he gets in. That's not to take anything away from Kozak, because I think Kozak's played well, but faceoffs have been a serious problem. They've been a serious problem throughout the playoffs, and when you got Philip Deneau on the other side for Montreal and Suzuki, those are guys that win draws, especially Deneau. And, when they need a big win in the zone, Deneau is going to be out there, and you need to have somebody who can at least split with him and not make it so that you're fighting against possession immediately when he's out there. I think that's the key thing that's going to change things up. But like Carrick's injury, I mean, he said it wasn't his shoulder, said it wasn't his wrist. It's probably his elbow. It seems to be the case. But that's really tough on draws because your elbow's really important in hockey. And if that's still sore, if that's nagging at you, I think that becomes an issue. But I mean, his face-off prowess is why they added him. He's a strong defender. He's gonna get back in. It's just a matter of when.
And then lastly, just how far do you think this team can go, and how far you think the series is going to go? Because we know Montreal is going to push back. We know that the series is far from being over. There's 6 more games possibly left here. We know Montreal is going to push, and they learned a lot in that first game after, having to prepare for Tampa Bay for 7 straight games. Now they've sort of got a scouting report on Buffalo. Marty St. Louis is going to adjust. What are you expecting from the outlook of what we're going to see throughout the rest of this the series that should be, a really exciting one, and I don't expect it to end early?
Yeah, I put my foot down and said the Sabres were going to win in 7 on Bleacher Report for our second round prediction. So if it goes that long, I'm sorry that I was right. If it doesn't go that long, then I'm kind of surprised, honestly, because I think this is gonna go the distance. I think these 2 teams are extremely good. I think Montreal, we did not quite see the best of them. They were still very dangerous, but I think some of their bigger players, I don't think we saw their top games. Caulfield, Slavkovsky, I don't think we saw the best of them. You saw flashes of it, obviously. Like Caulfield had that incredible chance to start the third period. Slavkovsky is a monster out there. He reminds me so much of Yager. It hurts me, and I love it. Like, he's such a good player. I'm such a big fan of his, but Suzuki is too. They're gonna bounce back. It's just a matter of how they do things. But yeah, I would be surprised if this ends up being a 5 or 6 game series, one way or the other, because both of these teams are dynamite. They can both go far. It's a little scary seeing Carolina looming and on the other side of this, but I don't know. Carolina's very good, but they're beatable. And I think that the way that these teams in the Atlantic have played, they can beat them. Like, they've had the murder path to get to the playoffs and to get to where they are now. And Carolina's kind of thumping on these the rest of the weaker thans.
Yeah, in Carolina, it's with their mind games within themselves, not being able to get over that hump, being in the East Final so many times, and not being able to kind of push through to the finals. Maybe that can play into Buffalo's favor if they do get there. Again, long way to go here, but Joe Yerdon, a Bleacher Report. Joe, really appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a long series ahead of you, a lot of travel, a lot of things going on, and trying to finish through. It's been a very long season in a good way. Instead of having to stop covering games at the beginning of April. I'm sure it's been an adjustment for you, but continue the great work, and look forward to catching up with you again when you're able, because it's going to be a fun ride here all the way to the end.
Yeah, this is the stuff you look forward to. This is where it's no pain, no gain, but it's the good kind of pain this time. So yeah, we'll take this every time, as opposed to wondering if there's going to be a coach firing press conference or a GM firing press conference or somebody's saying they want to get out of town. Yeah, I'll take this every time.
Seen enough of those and seen enough of being in the draft lottery. So
yes,
it's a nice change for once. So that's going to be it for today's episode of Sabres Semantics right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. As always, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family, and their 3 great Niagara region locations in Niagara Falls, Fawn Hill, and Scott Street in St. Catharines. Thank you to everybody tuned in live on the YouTube version. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, smash that bell. And to those listening on your favorite on-demand audio podcast platform, when this comes out on Friday morning, thank you very much. Please give us a 5-star rating, whatever one you chose and listen to us on. You can also give us a follow on X at Sabres Semantics, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network for all of our short reels and content. So for Joe Yerdon, our Bleacher Report and Noted Hockey, my name is Brandon Caputo. Have yourself a great night. Enjoy Game 2 tonight at KeyBank Center, Friday night down there at downtown Buffalo. Have yourself a great night, and we'll talk to you again very soon here on Sabres Semantics.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.